Welcome to this explainer. Today we are taking a massive, deep dive straight into the mind of an absolute immortal sports icon. We're talking about the extreme psychological drive, the relentless discipline, and honestly, the borderline obsession of Cristiano Ronaldo. This isn't just an explainer about football. Nope, it's a detailed look at the psychological blueprint you need to push completely past normal human limits. We've collected the data, the wild anecdotes, and the facts from the people who actually saw it all firsthand, and we're going to break it all down to figure out what actually makes him tick. Let's get into it.
To truly understand this mindset, we really have to start with a classic story from former Manchester United defender Patrice Evra. He once gave the football world a pretty hilarious but genuinely terrifying warning. He said, "If Cristiano Ronaldo invites you to his house for lunch, just say no." Now, right off the bat, you're probably wondering, why? What exactly goes wrong when a multimillionaire superstar invites you over to his literal mansion? I mean, you'd expect a massive royal feast after a brutal day of training, right? Well, let's take a look at the reality.
Okay, let's dive into this incredibly disappointing menu. So, Evra recalled showing up to Ronaldo's house absolutely exhausted after training, only to be met with this so-called feast. We're talking one plate of plain salad, dry white chicken breast, plain water, that's the whole shebang. Zero juices, zero salt, zero carbs. Evra patiently sat there thinking, the main course has got to be coming. But the very second they finish this incredibly clean, bland bite, Ronaldo immediately stands up, grabs a football, and just says, "Let's practice skills." It's a highly entertaining dressing room story, sure, but it's absolutely crucial because it gives us a clear look into a clinical obsession. For this guy, there is literally no off switch.
Section 1. The Carrington Mud Philosophy.
So let's rewind the clock a bit back to his early days at Manchester United. Back then, Ronaldo was just this skinny trickster who totally lacked the raw physical power to survive the brutal, hard-hitting English Premier League. Most players in his shoes would have just complained about the physicality and called it a day, but instead of complaining, Ronaldo decided to go to war with his own body. He realized super early on that he needed to pioneer his own personal backroom staff. Ferdinand actually revealed that Ronaldo went out and hired a personal chef, a personal physiotherapist, and a mind coach way before anyone else in world football was even thinking about doing that. From day one, he was treating his body like an elite, high-performance enterprise.
And you get this crazy contrast. While his normal teammates would complain about the physical toll of the game and then just drive home to play video games, Ronaldo was doing the exact opposite. He was literally tying heavy weights to his ankles and actively seeking out the deep, muddy bushes behind the training ground just to practice his step-overs. I mean, why would anyone do that? Well, it was his insane, relentless logic. He figured that if he could master his footwork and drop his shoulders smoothly in thick, heavy mud, he'd be absolutely unstoppable once he got back onto the pristine, smooth grass of Old Trafford. While everyone else rested, he artificially made his own environment harder.
Section 2. The Ping Pong Revenge.
Now, watch how a casual little game spirals into absolute madness. It starts on day one with a humiliating loss to Ferdinand in front of the entire Manchester United squad. He is visibly furious. But the very next day, instead of just letting it go like any normal person would, he goes out and buys a professional ping pong table for his house. Then, over the next couple of weeks, he actually hires a private table tennis trainer and locks himself away just to practice. Finally, he returns to the training ground, publicly challenges Rio to a rematch, and absolutely obliterates him. And this brilliantly illustrates the core of his psychology. He physically cannot accept being second best at anything, ever.
14. Just let that number sink in for a second. He spent 14 straight days practicing in complete isolation, paying a private coach out of his own pocket, all just to avenge a recreational, rec room defeat in a casual game of ping pong. That is the sheer absurdity of his competitive nature. It sounds kind of funny on the surface, sure, but psychologically, it's a profound indicator of a mind that simply refuses to lose. Moving on to Section 3, 2 a.m. ice baths.
You might assume that as he got older, much richer, and exponentially more famous, he'd eventually just relax a bit. But nope, the obsession only amplified. Imagine this, landing back in Madrid at 2:30 in the morning after playing a grueling, exhausting away match in the Champions League. A normal elite athlete is heading straight to their luxury bed to sleep off that immense fatigue. But Ronaldo? He bypasses home entirely. He drives straight to the Real Madrid training complex. While the rest of the city is fast asleep, he plunges into a freezing ice bath to jumpstart his muscle recovery, and then finishes up with 45 minutes of light jogging and stretching, all alone on the pitch. It's clinical, almost robotic dedication.
Legendary manager Carlo Ancelotti actually witnessed this late-night protocol firsthand, and he perfectly summarized the phenomenon. He said his only true addiction was being the best version of himself that morning. Ancelotti hit the nail on the head. He pointed out that Ronaldo didn't really care about the luxury lifestyle or the fast cars or all the glamour that came with being a global superstar. His singular, all-consuming focus was on constant self-improvement, completely ignoring the perfectly normal temptation to just rest.
Which brings us to Section 4, talent versus absolute will.
This brings us to what is basically the ultimate debate in human endeavor. What matters more for achieving greatness? Is it what you're naturally born with or what you forcefully built? On one side, we have Lionel Messi. He's often described as possessing this divine, natural gift, right? Like someone who was just seemingly born to play the game with effortless magic. But on the other side, we have Cristiano Ronaldo, built by hand, brick by brick, through pure, unadulterated suffering. All these stories we've talked about today, the plain chicken, the heavy mud training, the completely unhinged ping-pong revenge, the 2 a.m. ice baths, they all prove one thing. His greatness is not a part-time job. It is a 24/7 lifestyle choice built entirely on sacrificing comfort for absolute perfection.
Which leads us to a final, pretty provocative question for you to ponder. Talent might unlock the door, but what is your absolute discipline when no one is watching? We all have goals, right? But are we really willing to endure the mundane, the painful, and the incredibly lonely work required to actually achieve them? Take a moment to really reflect on your own hidden work ethic. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive in today's Explainer. I hope this look at a truly legendary mindset sparks your curiosity and maybe even helps drive your own discipline. Keep learning, keep pushing your limits, and I'll see ya in the next Explainer.